Hi, welcome to our channel, where we provide a summary and more related content of the linguistics research seminars hosted by Universidad de Salamanca and Universidad de Valladolid. On December 13, 2024, we had the pleasure of having Professor Eva Codó from Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona join us to share her talk, doing Critical Ethnographic Sociolinguistics, Principles, Methods and Data. Did you miss it? Don't worry, here you shall find the key concepts and research introduced during this fascinating session. In this video, we will provide a recap of how to better understand and apply critical ethnographic sociolinguistics, as well as an illuminating glimpse into the research done in the field through Professor Codó's work, and some further recommended sources you might want to check out. Let's begin with an overview of what critical ethnographic sociolinguistics entails as a research method. In order to do so, let's break down the concept into its three defining elements. First off, critical. A critical approach implies that we are placing power and inequality at the center of our studies. The starting point to do so in critical ethnographic sociolinguistics is by posing a central question. What consequences does language have? This means that we look at access to, distribution, and appreciation of resources, while questioning how we, as scholars, produce knowledge. The second component we have is ethnography. The practice of ethnography is about being there, within the community or group that we aim to study. And while being there, observing, staying for a long time, and collecting different types of data. That is how we can find out about the complexities of language within social life, how language is connected to people's lives, and different social processes over time. The final component we have is sociolinguistics. This academic field deals with the study of language in society. A fundamental premise here is that the linguistic is social, at the same time that the social is linguistic. This is why language has important contributions to make to the understanding of how society works. So now that we have a sense about what critical ethnographic sociolinguistics entails, we can learn a bit more about the research process by exploring how and why this kind of study is done. Critical ethnographic sociolinguistics is mainly done based on some key principles of the practice of ethnography. As ethnographers, we need to be collaborative and participatory, collect different types of data, advance an understanding of reality and experience from the perspective of the people in the study, build trust, and question our motivations and actions as researchers. Applying these principles, we are going to find ourselves with data that, at first, we might have the impulse to classify in binaries. Something might be either micro or macro, small or large, varied or routine, individual or social, creative or constraining, historical or present. However, as Eva Codó advises, while doing critical ethnographic sociolinguistics, instead of seeing all these dimensions as binaries, as dichotomies, try to see them as a whole that we are trying to understand. It's about embracing the complexities, connections, and ambivalence found in reality. Part of the reason why this type of research emerged was from questioning and problematizing structuralism and positivism in the 80s and 90s. Contrary to those philosophical positions, as researchers, we recognize that we are part of the reality that we study, and we want to focus on socially meaningful issues. That's why we investigate language issues that matter to people, such as how inequality is produced through language and why certain ways of speaking are more valued than others. Now, we will take a look at the different types of critical ethnographic sociolinguistics. Eva Codó brings to the fore two types, multi-sided ethnography and virtual digital ethnography or nethnography. Let's take a closer look at each one. The first kind aims at understanding mobility, processes of people, discourses, practices or objects, as well as connections between different sites. Multi-sided ethnography also wants to understand the different conceptualizations that a category might have. Because of its nature, this type has time restraints. Therefore, the ethnography engagements may have different intensity. The second type, digital ethnography, it's based on researching multimodal semiotic practices online. This means the symbolic power behind language, hashtags, and emojis. There are different ways to obtain results with this type. surfing the web and browsing the internet, engaging with a site when downloading or storing materials and screenshots, or actively participating in a community, like in social media. On the one hand, the advantage of this type is that it provides easy access to materials for the researcher and that it allows for time flexibility. On the other hand, it is easy to get overwhelmed because of the great quantity of data available. Moreover, digital ethnography may also raise ethical concerns regarding how to gain informed consent of participants. In the following section of the video, we will provide you with some studies that have an ethnographic perspective. Let's take a look at Codó's 2022 article, The Dilemmas of Experimental CLIL in Catalonia. In it, she poses a question of how stakeholders experience CLIL in an average secondary school of Catalonia in Spain. In order to answer her research question, Codó visited 47 classes and other events for 3 years while using an ethnographic approach to her observations and analysis. Those visits included English as a foreign language classes that used CLIL methodology as well as non-CLIL approaches. To complete her study, she also conducted in-depth interviews and focus groups with students, teachers, and stakeholders. By carrying out a critical ethnographic sociolinguistics approach, Codó was able to provide a broader picture, not just of CLIL implementation, but also of what happens in the classroom. She emphasizes that the positive and enthusiastic embracing of CLIL must be nuanced, considering, for example, the type of school where it is applied. Moreover, she highlights that the flexible character of CLIL is potentially problematic, especially if it is approached as a final destination instead of the beginning of the journey. Experimenting may undermine the democratizing agenda of CLIL with potential disadvantages to schools with less resources. Professor Codó has used an ethnographic approach in other research projects as well. For instance, a 2021 article that studied and compared the implementation of 2 programs in Catalonia during the last 15 years in 2 secondary schools located in working-class areas. You can also look at Codó's 2023 book chapter on the struggles that school heads and educators face when using CLIL approaches. If you're interested in going further in critical ethnographic sociolinguistics, you should check out these 3 resources that Professor Eva Codó recommended in her talk. The first book that appears in your screen will be very useful if you want to learn more about the fascinating field that ethnography is. The second one, as its name indicates, focuses on critical sociolinguistic research methods. And if you want to dive deeper into linguistic ethnography, you should include the handbook that appears in this slide in your to-read list. Well, that would be all for today. We hope you have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you wish to stay up to date with the latest content from the linguistics research seminars. Thank you for watching.